what I'm a little concerned about is the chairperson of the IEC made mistakes, and humans do make mistakes. But now she refuses to acknowledge that she made mistakes, meaning based on her submissions, she still thinks that if she were to do it again, she would not declare this relationship. That worries me.
Advocate Lakula today saying she's also tried to raise several concerns about gross procedural irregularities in the conduct of the investigation, errors of fact and law, she says, an abuse of power by you leading up to the compilation of this provisional report, and submissions on legal principles regarding a conflict of interest. How do you plan to deal with those?
I would be happy if a court of law were to be approached by Advocate Lakula, and a court of law told me that I'm wrong when I'm saying you can have a conflict of interest even if you don't have a financial interest in the bidding company. I have spent months reading about conflict of interest. I have spent months talking with judges and talking with fellow ombudsmen all over the world. They've arrived at the same understanding. Because they said a conflict of interest is anything that could impair your objectivity or seriously impair your objectivity.
There are calls for Advocate Lakula to resign or even be suspended in light of the report. Is that necessary?
No, it's not necessary. I think for me the only thing that I have a problem with is the fact that Advocate Lakula's notion of conflict of interest hasn't changed, which then means that she's not at the ethical level that I personally would like her to be. But maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe she's right. There's no conflict of interest unless you have money in it. Then she should take it to a court of law because it has implications for other professionals. You must understand that. Does a judge not have a conflict of interest in an issue simply because the interest he has is not a financial one?
Now, there were some delays in giving the affected parties, particularly Advocate Lakula, access to the report. She says this was only made available hours before your press conference today. What caused those delays?
That is true. It was really administrative glitches because we proofread the report on Friday, but the team that had to integrate the proofreading was in Cape Town, and then it came back to the office. They were not able to make their flight back to the office, and they came back on Saturday. But it's a big report. So between Saturday and Sunday, they were trying to work on things, and then they just had a few technical glitches.
That was the Public Protector Thuli Madanselo, who I spoke to a short while ago, just after she released those main findings of the report against the IEC's chairwoman, Advocate Phansi Lakula. She now joins us on the line. A very good afternoon to you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Desmond.
The Public Protector says you're guilty of improper conduct, maladministration. What's your response?
Well, I don't agree with some of her findings. The finding on conflict of interest. You know, we gave her substantive submissions on our understanding of conflict of interest in terms of company law, in terms of the policy of the organization, and in terms of common law. The policy of the organization only limits or links conflict of interest to a situation where I made a financial gain out of the transaction. I did not benefit from this transaction. The conflict of interest that she talks about, the co-directorship between me and one of the shareholders in the company that received the tender, does not relate to the company that bid it. It relates to a dormant company which is not operational, which did not even submit the tender. So I don't agree with her finding on conflict of interest. I have said so to her. We are both lawyers. She's entitled to her opinion, and my opinion as a lawyer is that she is wrong in that regard.
What do you plan to do? She says if you disagree, you should take it to court and let a judge decide.
Well, I'm taking advice on her report. You must remember that I received that report this morning, and I'm taking legal advice because I feel that there are factual errors, errors of law, procedural irregularities, which we brought to her attention, and abuse of power law.
Have you made a decision yet on whether you plan to take this to court?
Well, like I'm telling you, I'm taking legal advice. So after taking legal advice, I will look at the options that are available to me.
The public protector also said she was quite concerned as to why this issue of the building was handed to your exco, to the executive committee, and not handled according to IEC policy by the procurement committee.
There is a history, and this I didn't say to the public protector because it would not have made any difference. But the fact of the matter is that, we lease about 300 buildings in the country. And, we'd never gone on tender for buildings. So what we did, I said, let's get some open process of sorts. That's what I said to my colleagues. An open process that will say, why did we choose this one before, instead of this? Because before that, we had actually identified premises without a tender. And we had taken a recommendation to move into those premises which were going to be newly built to the commission. After that, I then decided that maybe let's do some open process. And that's what happened. We publicized call for proposals in the newspaper. So I'm saying that some procedures may not have been followed, but you need to judge this against the criteria of fairness, openness, transparency, and cost effectiveness. And we think that the process that we followed, even if it may not have followed all the processes within the organization, was fair, was open, was transparent, and was cost effective. And I think in addition to that, I think what I need to say is the fact that when we went for a 10-key solution, we found this solution, 10-key solution, to be cost effective, and we accepted it. But afterwards, we found that, in fact, there was some irregular expenditure in connection therewith. We ourselves disclosed that irregular expenditure in our financial statements for 2010-2011, long before there was any complaint by anybody. We did that ourselves, and we reported this irregular expenditure to National Treasury as we are required to do in terms of the law. So we made the submissions to the public protector, but she has come to the decision that she has come to, which we respect, but we don't agree with.
There's also been calls for you to resign, most notably, I guess, from the UDM's Bantu Holomisa. The public protector says that's not necessary for you to do, but of course many SMSs, Facebook comments, people talking to us, many of our listeners saying that's what you should do. What do you think is right for you right now?
Resign what for? I'm saying to you, look, you have to look at what has happened. I don't think that I have committed any act of misconduct which warrants my resignation. No public funds were misappropriated. I did not benefit from this transaction. There were some procedural irregularities, but there was no fruitless expenditure, no wasteful expenditure, as the public protector alleges in her report. And in any case, my tenure at the IEC is regulated by the Electoral Commission Act because I am now a member of the commission. I'm the chairperson. I'm not an official. So at the moment, my tenure is regulated. I still have 5 years to go. And if any action has to be taken against me, it has to be taken in terms of the provisions of the Electoral Commission Act.
Many concerns this afternoon about whether this report damages the integrity, the reputation, or even the public confidence in the IEC, and now whether it impugns your own integrity as a representative of a constitutional body. Where to from here for you, ma'am?
Look, I've been in this position for a long time. I've led that organization for more than 10 years. I have conducted 4 elections. And I don't think because of some procedural irregularities that the public protector has found that the integrity of the elections will be affected. I am committed to ensuring that the forthcoming elections will be run freely, fairly, and credibly as we have always done in the past.
Thanks so much for joining us. The Independent Electoral Commission's chairperson, Advocate